Well, today we talk about not getting enough sleep and how this leads to long term health problems. According to NIH, in the United States, about 1/3 of adults do not get enough sleep. And that means that about 35% of adults sleep less than 7 hours per night. And so sleep is essential for our health. And the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine states that sleep is a biological necessity, and insufficient sleep and untreated sleep disorders are detrimental for health, well being, and public safety. So, yes, today we are going to read and discuss this article. This article says this was written in Everyday Health. The name of the article is Eight Health Problems Linked to Not Getting Enough Sleep. And so I'm going to bring it up here so that I can start reading it. And then Dr. D. Banks will help me when we get to naming and listing the eight. She will help me name and list some of the eight health problems linked to not getting enough sleep. And so it says chronic sleep deprivation can have long term consequences for our overall health and well being. A good night's sleep, the article says, helps you feel refreshed and perform better the following day. But there's growing evidence that sleep is critical for maintaining good long term health too. The body can usually cope with occasionally staying up late, but if you're frequently or chronically depriving yourself of sleep, there will be a price to pay, says Sigrid C. or Velzi, MD, a researcher and professor of medicine at Penn Medicine in Philadelphia. Here are some of the long term health benefits linked to not clocking enough hours of shut eye. And I'll start with the number one. Number one is poor brain health. Studies have linked sleep problems to poor thinking and memory skills later in life, which could put people in higher risk for dementia, says Clemency Cavales, a PhD, a researcher at the University of California in San Francisco. Bad sleep may also result in premature aging of the brain, says Dr. Cavales. She is the author of a recent study that found that people who have poor sleep quality have more signs of poor brain health as they get older compared with people who have fewer sleep issues. The study, which followed 600 middle aged participants over 15 years, found that people with the greatest number of sleep complications had an average brain age that over this time period became 2.6 years more advanced than people with the fewest sleep issues. Bad sleep quality, difficulty falling asleep, difficulty staying asleep, and early morning awakening were linked to greater brain age, especially if the issue persisted over 5 years. A prematurely aging brain that has significant implications for numerous aspects for cognitive health, daily functioning, and overall well being. So, a prematurely aging brain has significant implications. And this was said by Cavalis. Specifically, advanced brain aging has been associated with worse cognitive functions and Alzheimer's disease related atrophy patterns, she says.
Depression and anxiety. Research shows that people who have chronic insomnia have a higher rate of depression and anxiety compared with people who haven't been diagnosed with insomnia, says Mina Khan, a neurologist and sleep medicine specialist at the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center in Columbus, the soon to be school of our Dr. Natalie, soon to be Dr. Natalie Doe. It's
Woohoo!
estimated that about 40% of people with insomnia have clinical depression. The relationship between mood and sleep is complex and bidirectional, which means that depression or anxiety can worsen sleep, and lack of sleep can also negatively impact mood. Insomnia is considered an independent risk factor for developing a mental health disorder, including depression, in people of all ages. Sometimes separate treatments are needed to help with the sleep problems and the anxiety or depression, but in some cases, improving sleep can help mood too, says Dr. Khan.
Number 3, type 2 diabetes. Poor quality sleep or short sleep duration has been linked to poor blood sugar control in people with or without diabetes, says Khan. It can increase risk of developing diabetes as well, she says. In a group of middle aged Caucasians, researchers found a strong association between poor sleep quality and metabolic syndrome, insulin levels, fasting blood sugar levels, and insulin resistance, which is often a precursor to type 2 diabetes.
Weight gain and obesity. There's a strong link. I said that. There's a
Yes.
strong link between having sleep issues and being overweight or having obesity. That's because not getting enough sleep on a regular basis, sleep deprivation, can create an imbalance in the hormones that regulate your appetite, ghrelin and leptin. Leptin helps you feel full, and ghrelin makes you feel hungry. Because leptin levels typically rise during sleep, experts think if you aren't getting enough, your leptin levels decrease, making you feel hungrier, and that may lead to eating more than you need. On top of that, sleep disruptions of any kind can cause an increase in ghrelin, which increases your appetite and causes you to get out of bed and graze. Research suggests that insufficient sleep makes people burn about 100 calories more a day. Although that sounds like a good thing, yeah, because I had to look at that and say, wait a minute. Although that sounds like a good thing, the extra wait time increases how much people eat or drink by more than 250 calories, which can over time make people gain weight.
Yes. So, number 5, hypertension, heart disease, and stroke. The American Heart Association includes sleep in its Life's Essential 8, a checklist of modifiable factors that can improve heart health. Even small changes in sleep have been linked to heart issues. There are 24% more heart attacks for the first 3 to 4 days after the clocks change in March, and a 21% reduction in heart attack rates in November when clocks fall back and people gain an hour of sleep. Regularly sleeping 5 hours or less is associated with a 2 to 3 times greater risk of coronary artery buildup, decreasing the blood flow to your heart, meaning that sleep deprivation may increase the likelihood of coronary artery disease. People with obstructive sleep apnea have higher risk of hypertension, heart attack, and stroke, says Khan.
Kidney problems. The link between sleep and kidney health hasn't been as firmly established as the link between sleep and other chronic conditions, says Khan. People with chronic kidney disease often have sleep disorders such as restless leg syndrome and insomnia related to their condition, but there's evidence that poor sleep quality is associated with developing chronic kidney disease, which researchers believe could be related to the disruption in circadian rhythms.
Number 7, impaired immune function. Not getting enough sleep or good enough quality sleep can shortchange your immune system, says Khan. There is evidence that getting plenty of sleep can benefit your immune system, and that impaired sleep is linked with being more susceptible to infections, she says. Research has linked poor sleep to an increased susceptibility to certain types of illness. People who chronically get less than 7 hours of sleep a night are 3 times as likely to develop the common cold compared with those who routinely get 8 hours or more of sleep. Additionally, studies of flu vaccines and hepatitis A and B vaccines suggest that not sleeping hurts your body's ability to make disease fighting antibodies. When study participants were deprived of sleep for about 4 hours a night in the days before and 1 to 2 days following vaccination, they developed a significantly lower level of antibodies compared to those who were not sleep deprived. So, who knew?